الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد, we greet you all to the greeting of Islam and we say to you all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic of discussion that has been placed on my shoulders this evening is the impact of social media upon Muslim culture. And what we're going to end up speaking about is a legal maxim, a principle in fiqh, a qa'ida fiqhiyya that states al-'ada muhakkama, that we will translate as culture is a judge. We're going to talk about this, but we have to be able to frame this in the context of social media. So what I'm really hoping for is that we can just have a conversation. What I'm really hoping for is that I can be a bit vulnerable with you all and just talk, if that's okay with all of us. Now, to have this conversation properly, I need to kind of bring you all back in my life a little bit. In a different lifetime, when I first started college, I was a major in computer science. I did some study of computer science in high school that carried over to college. And programming was a big thing at that time, right? Of course, there's coding now and all that type of stuff that's leading to these algorithms, and we hear the word algorithm, right? But when I started out, it was programming language. Hopefully I'm not dating myself, all right? And I started learning programming language in the C++ language. When I get to college, we're taking this class, computer programming class it was, right? And we're learning about the history of computers. And we're learning about the history of the internet. Now, most of us may have the understanding that the internet, when it was officially made available to the masses of the public, my understanding is that was in the year 1996. Okay? Now, at this time when I'm taking this class, it's 1998, right? Where we're learning programming and this type of a thing in the language C++. Now, what the professor taught us, this is like the first couple classes, that what we think is this new thing called the internet that's about 30 years old now has been in existence since 1945, okay? During World War II. And that originally it was a tool / weapon utilized by the military in order to transfer information much faster, all right? So we think we're getting something in 1996, but 50 years before that, it was already in use, albeit a rudimentary form, albeit a lesser form, okay? So park that in your minds. Then we have to speak about, in order to speak about social media, we have to speak about social behavior, social psychology, because really what we call social media, it is an intersection between the internet and psychology. So far, so good? Now, if we're going to speak about this intersection between the internet and psychology, particularly social psychology, that means we have to talk about psychology a little bit, if that's okay. In a different lifetime, after the computer science lifetime, we spent some time in the field of psychology, all right? So there's a personality that maybe some of us have heard of. This personality, his name is Sigmund Freud. You ever heard of this name, Sigmund Freud, by chance? All right. When you're studying psychology, on the front of it, you learn something about the history of psychology and how it kind of developed. And what we call psychology today is roughly 150 years old. It's not that old, what we call psychology today, right? It had renditions of it before that. Largely, it was what we call psychology, what we call economics, right? A lot of that is kind of under the umbrella of sociology, right? Originally, it wasn't like a separate field of study. And alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And just so that you can understand some of our history, what we call sociology, what these other fields of study are branching out of, they are sourced originally in Islam with Muslims by a personality called Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun is the father of sociology, in which these other fields are branching out of, including psychology. Back to Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, he is called the father of psychology, okay? And he had some very interesting ideas, some very interesting theories, some very interesting experiments on people, and some very interesting conclusions. Now, what he utilizes as a base of his approach to psychology is, well, we can talk. We can talk. He utilizes sexual desire as a base in his approach to psychology. So, in his approach to psychology, the large amount of human decision-making, behavior, and desire is premised upon sexual desire, even at the level of a baby who isn't even an infant yet. In his expressions, even a baby, when a baby is first born and a baby is crying, in his understanding, that's coming from the base of a sexual desire that hasn't fully been developed yet and can't fully be expressed yet. This is Sigmund Freud. Interesting personality if you ever have the time to look into his life and what's behind that. Now, that's Sigmund Freud to give you an idea, right? This is the father of psychology. This is the field of study, the study of the human mind. That's what psychology is. And then from that, we begin to understand behavior. People do things. Why are people doing certain things? And what can lead people to do other things? That's psychology. Now, we're going to take the next step. Sigmund Freud has a nephew. His nephew is a gentleman by the name of Edward Bernays. We probably haven't heard that name before. Edward Bernays, no? You have, huh? All right, my man's in him. All right. So if you don't know his name, you are going to recognize his work. Edward Bernays was the first individual to take the principles of Sigmund Freud and apply them to the masses. Okay? To take the principles of Sigmund Freud and starting to sell them to governments and to corporations in order to get people to comply, in order to get people to exude certain behaviors. So far, so good. Now, in this space, because their understanding is that we are doing what we're doing based on desires, then they began incorporating desire into advertisements, desire into messaging. Let's include emotion and feeling more than logic and truth, because that will get the people to do what we need them to do. All right? Edward Bernays, He's born in 1891. He passes in 1995 at the age of about 103. He lived for over a century, all right? So he's working. He's getting wealthy doing this. Now, some of us, maybe we weren't living during this time, but we recall something. During World War II, a lot of people died in World War II, right? Globally. And what was going on in America is that there were so many men dying that we didn't have the workforce that we needed for these corporations to continue to put forth the labor in the product that they were producing, right? That's the industrial age, right? We're no longer in the industrial age, we're somewhere else, right? Okay, fine. So if we don't have the men to do this work because they're dying in these wars, what do we have if we don't got the men? We got women, right? All right. So this becomes that iconic image, maybe we've seen it, of a woman with her arm like this, right? And with the muscle in her arm. That's Edward Bernays' work, right? That's Edward Bernays, right? When they used to have those billboards and they want to sell cigarettes and cigars, and they used to have this puff of smoke coming out of the billboard. This is Edward Bernays. This is his work, right? The idea is sometimes we see, right? I'm gonna talk to us like we us, if that's okay, right? Everyone has seen a commercial of a vehicle, of a car, right? It's about a car to drive to get you from point A to point B. That's what it's about. But somehow, more often than not, what is utilized to sell that vehicle? A woman. Why? What does a woman got to do with the car and driving from point A to point B? Well, if a man has desire for a woman, that desire that he has for the woman, if we associate it with this car, then he'll have that desire that he has for the woman for this car. And then all of a sudden we got people they're desiring all these different types of fancy cars and non-fancy cars, and this car does this and that car doesn't do that. Edward Bernays, that's his work. That's his work. Go ahead. Same with alcohol. The same with alcohol. Same deal, right? Same deal, right? Have a good time, right? It's at the party, right? Alcohol. All this stuff is not how advertisements were if you go back to the 1700s and throughout many of the 1800s, all right? Edward Bernays, this is his work. Now that we understand this, and he's also being employed, again, that's on the corporation side. He's being employed by varying global governmental bodies as well in order to learn how to get people how to comply. We want the people to do this. They're not going to want to do it. Help us get them to desire doing it. All right? That's his work. All right. So we have the internet, and eventually we come into this thing that we call social media, right? The internet merges with social media. Now, I'll ask you, what is the purpose of social media? What's this? Why is it there? Go ahead. I'm gonna roll the dice. Let's go with both. Huh? All right, the purpose and the claim. What is the purpose? Let's start with the claim. What's the claim of social media's purpose? Go ahead. The claim is to bring people together. That's the claim. You're right, right? We have, the world is all one village now, right? We can open up these eyes and see across the other side of the world what's going on in real time. You can even go on NASA's website, see what's going on out of space in real time now, right? We got these eyes everywhere, right? We can connect, right? We have these apps. We can talk to somebody on the other side of the globe in real time and all of that, right? Good. That's the claim. What's the purpose? Control. Okay, control. We got to control it. We got to control. Open for our sisters as well for you guys to jump in. Go ahead. Monopolize. Okay. To attain a monopoly on what? Right, we're not wrong. You said chaos. Go ahead. Minds in the hearts of the people. All right. You ever notice how the overwhelming majority of these social media apps are free? That they're free, right? You can get on Facebook for free, right? Get on Instagram for free, right? Twitter for free. Oh, I'm sorry, X. You get on X for free, right? If you're an opponent of that, you can get on Threads for free, right? What else we got? We got TikTok for free, right? You can get on for free, right? We get on for free. If you can use it for free, you're the product. You're the product. They in business. You don't realize these companies that they like not multi-million dollar companies, not deca million-dollar companies. These are, now we get into, we're not even in billions anymore. We get into the trillions. How in the world are they making billions and trillions of dollars and they get to give it to you for free? You ever think about that? Go ahead. Because our personality traits are the new currency. You're right. You the product. I'm the product. We the product. It is there. While we get on there, we have fun and all that. We give them all our information. Everything about what we want, what we desire, what we're into, who we with, who we not with, right? So then we're giving them data. So now we're beyond Sigmund Freud. We're beyond Edward Bernays. Now on top of that, they get to apply those principles specifically to your personality type to get you to desire exactly what they believe they can sell to you as an individual. And it's going to be different for each one of us. It's data collection. The algorithms are collecting data about you. Right? You ever wonder that when you log into it, you got to give them your name, you got to give them your date of birth. They want you to know, they want to know like where you're from, right? They even got to click the button, location. It's on there, right? And what you doing while you at that location, right? And then you wonder, oh man, I was just talking about that. Why is an advertisement popping up on my phone? You see? That's where the money's being made at. They are selling your information to other companies so that they can market their product to you. Make no doubt about it. Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, X, Threads and TikTok, right? They are marketing companies. They are making their money in advertisements, all right? And either you eat or you are the food. There's no in between with that, all right? This is what's going on with that. And more often than not, probably every one of us sitting here at some point in time saw something pop up on the screen that wasn't what we went on there for. It's an advertisement. You click the button. You click the button, and you probably bought something at some point in time. That's the game. That's the game. But in order to get you from the point of, I wasn't even thinking about this, I was looking to just see what's going on in the world, interact with some friends, whatever it is that your initial intention was. In order to get you from there to buying this product, we got to manipulate your desires. All right? Now, here is where it gets interesting. Yes. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You pay for YouTube. You pay for YouTube so that it doesn't come up. Correct. You pay for, okay, so you're on YouTube, you're looking at Imam Muslim Family Center, you're looking at Sheikh Ali, you're looking at Sheikh Abu Sajid, and a Budweiser commercial comes up. What has this got to do with that? Right?
And I feel like they know that, this is my opinion, I feel like they know from the Muslims that this is wrong. And they purposely put that. I've seen it numerous times where they put alcohol. It could be alcohol or something.
Something else that we don't believe in and don't want to participate in comes up.
Specifically, they know that the Muslims do not believe in this.
Uh,
They put it on.
Okay.
That's not a cookies, milk. I mean, like literal.
Cookies and milk, huh? Okay, go ahead. It's also utilized for government surveillance, our brother says. You're not wrong. Cool. Government surveillance, right? And if not particular, very specific data, then minimally the metadata, right? But we don't need to get into those particulars. Now, where we're going with this is, there's something that's called trends. You heard that word before? Something called trends. It's trending right now, right? And when these things are trending, then they begin to influence the people that are on these social media apps, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's a challenge, right? We got this type of challenge, we got that type of challenge, right? Maybe if I say a name, most of you all gonna know the name. Our sister's gonna know the name too. If I say the name Kevin Samuels, who doesn't know that name? Right? Most people heard the name Kevin Samuels, right? The sheikh has been preserved, mashallah. Huh? Most people have heard the name Kevin Samuels. How do you know that name? Social media. You started out with a little clip gonna pop up, see another clip, entertaining, interesting, right? Watch something a little bit longer, and now it becomes the conversation of the people with regards to their perception of relationships. Even the Muslims, even Muslim men, even Muslim women are impacted one way or the other, over and over and over again, right? We're to the point now where, did you know that this year, 2023, was the first year that streaming apps have exceeded cable with regards to people's observance and participation in them? Cable is going down. People are watching apps, okay? It's to the point now where the majority of people even get their news from social media. People rely on news feeds for their understanding what's going on in the world. Do they not? Now you're getting your news from social media. So then, if that holds true, and for whatever reason, we need to gaze the people in a particular direction, or we need to distract the people so that they're not looking in that direction, we're going to tell them all this, we're going to make it trending, and now that's what everybody is talking about. Even the Muslims. Good, bad, otherwise, or indifferent. We see how this works? And now we are in a space of social engineering. Now we are in a space of culture creation. There is culture that is being created that has not existed ever before in this country, and in a very short period of time, it becomes normal. It becomes normal, right? Now we have to talk. We have to talk about gender identity, right? This is we got to talk about gender identity, right? We have to memorize acronyms now and know what they mean. LGBTQIA+. That's the proper vernacular, right? We got to know what this means and have these type of discussions now. What's pushing all of that? Where's it coming from? Social media. Social media. Everybody's not watching cable. Everybody's not watching every single movie. You turn on that app though, right? Whatever your flavor. You a Facebook person because you are 30, 40 plus, right? You an Instagram person, right? Because you 20, 30 plus. You a TikTok person, right? because you're younger than that, whatever your persuasion, we got you. And we're going to put this stuff in there. And now it's a part of the society as a whole. Okay? Now it's impacting culture. All right? And because the internet moves faster than any other form of communication that we have to present, now we can maximize and we can expedite, we can make faster the principles of Sigmund Freud and Edward Bernays. We can put all that on hyperdrive now, right? Create these desires, you thinking about stuff that you don't realize you weren't even thinking about it until you saw it there. Right? Let's talk about the design of it and what it is meant to do, all right? So from a psychological standpoint, our brain has a reward system, okay? Our brain rewards us for things. So when you have an achievement that you have achieved, your brain rewards you for that. When you're being recognized, your brain rewards you for that. When you're getting attention, your brain rewards you for that in the form of dopamine. Absolutely. So then your brain releases dopamine and then you feel good. Okay? Social media is designed to give you the reward of achievement in seconds. You're not doing no work to attain information. You're not doing no work to attain entertainment. It's just right there in front of you. And all you got to do, well, whatever finger you use, right, is keep scrolling. And forever, it just keeps coming up and you get another hit and another hit of dopamine for whatever your flavor is. Because the more you do it, the more what you see is going to be curtailed to what you're interested in and what you desire. Right? So you get this constant dopamine hit. Right? It's like a drug. This is why people get addicted to social media. It is the dopamine that it releases in your brain. Tell me I'm crazy. Go ahead.
Speaking of dopamine, it's another factor because of studies. Same dopamine levels that a person absorbs when they see depictions of violence.
Yes.
They're the same levels that when they see depictions of same violence.
Subhanallah. Our brother is saying that there are studies that explain to us that the dopamine levels that we experience when we see violence are similar to the dopamine levels when a person is having a sexual experience, right? That still sounds like Edward Bernays' work to me. Go ahead.
So are we speaking about a physical chemical inside the body?
A chemical inside the body, absolutely. Absolutely, right? We produce it naturally. We produce it naturally in our brains. Our brain has a reward system for us to encourage us to do things that are rewarding to us. Right? And this is actually one of the challenges. We won't go off on this tangent. This is actually one of the challenges. I see you, Sheikh. This is actually one of the challenges that exist with self-medication, with drugs, right? Because of the reward system, the drugs put that on hyperdrive, right? And then you start chasing that effect. And eventually, whatever that drug is doing for you, certain drugs, you build a physical dependence, meaning what your brain produced naturally, your brain stops producing it, so now you need the drug in order for your brain to produce it so that you can have the experience. That's the addiction. Sheikh.
Basically, you answered the question I was going to say.
Go ahead.
The same feeling that somebody that's on narcotics want is dopamine that sends them to it.
Uh-huh. Correct. 100% correct, right? So now that we had this discussion, we know what's going on with social media. We see the impact that it has on the Muslims and why. We see what's behind it, right? That's what's behind the curtain, all right? Now we're going to take the next step. And we're looking at the clock here. The next step is this. Is it wrong to have culture in Islam? No? As long as it doesn't go against the Sharia? Our sisters as well, we're talking to all of us now. Is it wrong for us to have a culture? No. Okay. So if we know that culture creation is being employed against us or in order to get us to comply or otherwise desire or think or do certain things, control our behavior. If we know that, and we know that it's allowable for us to have a culture, then the question becomes, how do we understand culture in context of our Sharia? Because what we're up against is being socially engineered. So then we need to understand culture from an Islamic context, right? It's so deep now, right? You don't gotta go out to some performance and see something. You don't gotta look on your TV screen. It's in your pocket on your phone, right? And we're getting to the point now. We're getting to the point now where they want to bring it beyond your pocket on your phone, right? Now it's virtual. We're entering into VR now, right? Put it right in front of your face, right? And make you think it's a world out there that it ain't real, right? Okay, how do we understand culture in Islam? Can we have culture? You say, yes, we can have culture. We can have a culture? Okay. What is Muslim culture? Now we're turning back around. We're going to get back to the principle we started with, the legal maxim, the principle in fiqh, qaida fiqhiyya, al-'ada muhakkama, culture is a judge. Is there Muslim culture? Is there such thing as Muslim culture? You say yes? What's that?
Well, I know like one example, like for clothing, culture might be, a Muslim culture in Pakistan might be different than a Muslim culture in Saudi Arabia.
So a Muslim's culture in Pakistan might be different than a Muslim's culture in Saudi Arabia.
As far as like Kufis and some wear turbans
Kufis, turbans.
and purpose and wires and stuff like that. It's just using like that. You know what I mean?
That's culture. You say that's culture. Okay. Go ahead, Sheikh. Ethnic culture. So you're not saying Muslim culture, you're saying ethnic culture. Okay. Okay, good. So we're going to ask a question and we're going to talk about this principle, right? Today, under this sweater, I'm wearing something that we call a thobe, right? And many of our brothers wear something called a thobe, right? Now, I'm not telling you to not wear a thobe. I'm just saying we're going to talk about it, all right? Let me ask you this. As regular daily dress, was the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wearing something called a thobe? No? You say no? He was wearing something called a rida and a nizar. Yes, no? There was an upper shirt-like garment, right? Shirt-like, vest-like garment. And then the lower garment that is very popular in this particular city, right? That we call a nizar, right? So then why are we wearing a thobe and then associating it not just with Islam, we associate it with religiosity. Somehow we're more religious if we wear this garment that y'all wearing and I'm wearing it too. Where's that coming from? If this is not the regular dress of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one person says Saudi Arabia, who else says, what do we say? Where's it coming from? Yes? Cultural colonization. Go ahead. It's a culture of whatever lane you in. Okay. I submit to you that the thobe is not Saudi culture. I submit to you that the thobe is not Arab culture. If you go back to the time of the Salaf, right around the third generation or so, you begin to see a bit of a shift where the thobe becomes popularized. Where did the Muslims get it from? The robe is Christian dress. This comes from Christianity, okay? This was the dress of monks. It is only that they also had a monk's belt that they would wrap around themselves. The Muslims took on this dress, took off the monk belt, and then adopted it to the point that it became so popular that it was identified as Muslim dress. Okay? Now, that's 1,000 years ago, right? But we here in the US of A, right? Okay. So how do we get from 1,000 years ago to the US of A? Now we all wearing a thobe sitting up in the masjid. Okay. we made a cultural choice that we did not realize that we were making at the time that we made it. The cultural choice that we made was that we chose a dress as American Muslims to identify with our faith and with our religiosity. We chose the thobe for that. We chose the thobe as the dress of our clergy. We made that choice, and then it permeated and became our culture. Didn't have to be, but we made that choice. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit. This principle, al-'ada muhakkama, that culture is a judge. It is a universal principle of Islam. It's one of the greater principles that are utilized in fiqh, utilized in law in Islam. There are 5 major ones that when you study the field, you kind of study these 5 before you get into other stuff. And you study these 5, and then other smaller ones or sub ones branch off of these 5, okay? We'll list them out briefly. Al-umur bimaqasidiha. Actions are based upon their intentions. Everybody knows that one, right? Al-mashaqqa tajribu taysir. Burden brings about relief. Burden brings about relief. You stand and pray, you got a back problem, you can sit down, no problem. Burden brings about relief. Al-yaqeen la yazulu bishak. Certainty is not removed by doubt. You think you broke, you will do, but you're not sure, but you're certain that you may will do before. Your doubt in whether you lost your will do or not is not enough to remove the certainty that you may will do. So you keep moving like you got will do, right? We've used these principles, maybe we just haven't heard in this way, right? La darara wa la dirar. Do not harm and don't be a cause of harm. Do not harm and don't reciprocate harm, right? That's 4. Number 5, al-'ada muhakkama. Culture is a judge. Okay? Our Lord, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the Best and the Exalted, He mentions in the Quran, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And they have for them the same that is over them in that which is ma'ruf, and that which is known. Okay? This is speaking about our women and the rights of our women. That our women have the same rights in their favor as the rights that are over them in that which is known. We hear ma'ruf, we commonly say like in the good, and that which is good. That's what we say, right? But in this context, in this conversation, there's a word called 'ada and there's a word called 'urf. For our discussion, we're just going to call that culture, all right? There's some particulars there. We're just going to call that culture, okay? So our women have in their favor, in our law, the same in their rights in that which is over them in that which is the culture of the people, the cultural standard of the people, okay? So whatever the cultural standard of the people are and what they expect from women, then women got them rights too, right? Women got those rights too, generally. There are particulars where we make distinctions. But if those distinctions are not made, then generally they have the same too, okay? Now, we're gonna take the next step. We've also heard, عَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and live with them in the ma'ruf, right? And we're gonna say live with women in kindness. That's what we hear, right? And that's fine, and we can use it that way. Live with the women in that which is known culturally as the standard. Same page? There's this renowned story, I know we all heard this, hadith, with Abu Sufyan and his wife Hind. Later on, they embraced Islam, become Muslim. Abu Sufyan was like wealthy, right? But he was known to be tight-fisted, right? Hind goes to the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she's complaining like, he ain't giving me enough for what I need to take care of me and the kids. Right? What I do with this, right? Khudi ma yakfiki wa waradiki, in that which is ma'ruf. Take what is sufficient for you and your children in that which is ma'ruf. That which is good, yes. That which is the cultural standard of your people. The urf. Ma'ruf like the urf. Culture. Culture. All right? Now, from here, we're going to talk about a little bit how to utilize this, okay? And I'm not sure we're looking out on the clock when it comes to, what time are we doing, Isha? All right. All right. So let's talk about how this works a little bit, all right? We have laws in Islam for traveling, right? Are there laws in Islam for traveling? What are some of the laws that people commonly know about traveling? Go ahead. Gotta have a passport. Okay, that's true. Like in Islam, in Sharia, in fiqh. Shorten the prayers. You can possibly break your fast. Ramadan, good. Women shouldn't travel without a mahram. Okay, combining your prayers, right? Maybe taking a leader of the group to be a leader. Go ahead, if it's more than 3, right? Okay, good. So we know these laws, right? Everybody knows this. Question. What verse, what hadith states the distance for traveling? We got these laws about traveling. What verse, what hadith tells us at what point we're traveling? What did Allah say about it? What statement of the Messenger of Allah did he state specifically at this distance you're traveling? You saying 3 kilometers? You're okay. What you're thinking about? There are narrations where it states thalathatu emyal, right? Thalathatu emyal, 3 emyal. Emyal is the plural of the word meal. In modern standard Arabic, we translate that as a mile, right? However, that's not what it meant during the time of the Sahaba. A meal is a distance that is as far as the eye can see. So you go as far as the eye can see 3 times over. But mind you, this is an observation of the Sahaba. That's the observation of the companions. That's not a verse in the Quran, and that's not the immediate statement of the Messenger of Allah. Go ahead. Al-Albani rahimahullah. Whatever you consider travel. Oh, you from Harlem? Word is bond, son. Now go ahead.
If I leave Harlem and I go to Long Island, that's traveling, but I'm still within the state of New York.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Okay, good. All right. So now you're saying what the people consider is traveling. Leaving your locality. Okay. Now, what does leaving your locality mean? What the people consider as traveling? What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Go ahead.
It could mean leaving
Leaving outside of your city limits. Go ahead.
Some of the scholars say like it's a certain amount of miles.
Certain scholars say it's a certain amount of distance.
And then some people say, like you said, city. But
Mm-hmm.
the common folk, the laymen, as we say,
Mm-hmm.
everybody goes to their particular shape that they feel comfortable with or whatever ruling that they feel like that fit.
Everybody go to shape they're comfortable with, the ruling that we comfortable with. Okay, cool. Now, we don't want to discuss the particulars of this particular academic issue. We utilize this as an example. One of the views amongst scholarship is that it is based on what the people in that time and in that place and in that locality consider to be traveling, then you're traveling. The only way to determine that is culture. All right? Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to use this principle. All right? So you can use it in your lives on a daily basis. Okay? Now, whenever there is something stated in the Sharia, something stated in our legislation, and it's just left open, it's not clearly defined, like the distance of traveling, right? If it's not clearly defined, then the definition of it becomes al-'ada muhakkama, the culture of the people that's a judge. That then now fills in that color for us, in the details for us. And what the culture may be in America might be different than the culture in Brazil. And what the culture in Philadelphia may be like may be different than the culture in Harlem. There may be a subculture inside of the culture, and that's okay. That's okay, right? All right, we're going to give you another example, then we're going to move forward with this. A little bit of fun, okay? We have a little bit of fun? All right. Now, well, I'm going to say this one first just to mess with y'all, and then we'll talk about what I want to say. If I say the word sit down, that means something to y'all, right? That means something to y'all? Y'all sitting down right now, but that's not what y'all thought about when I said that. Right? What verse, what hadith says sit down? I submit to y'all that y'all created that. That sound crazy? Let's take this a step further. A little bit of fun. The part of the sit down that everybody wants to get to, they want to see this woman. The brothers ain't got quiet and all that, sisters. They ain't got quiet. Okay. What verse or what hadith specifically states what can or cannot be seen of her? What you got? So then how do we know, brother? Because I know a few of y'all here married. What was y'all doing and how did you know what to do? Right? Okay. I'll tell you a brief story. I know we're coming close to the time. We'll make our points, inshallah ta'ala. We're in the prophetic city of Medina. In 2003, there's a particular scholar, Sheikh Ubaid ibn Abdullah ibn Sulaiman al-Jabiri, rahimahullah, he recently passed away, all right? He was teaching 5 days a week in 2003. He was teaching largely out of his home at that time, okay? We're in his living room area. We're having a discussion about this topic, what can be seen of the woman. He introduces this principle to us, al-'ada muhakkama, that culture is a judge. He explains it, that whenever there is something that is mentioned in our sharia and is mentioned in an unrestricted way, what gives us the details of how to apply that is the culture of the people in that time and in that place. And when he then explained to us, he said, well, us here in Saudi Arabia, when we are getting to know a woman for marriage and it's the opportunity to see her, then maybe she might have on a jilbab, maybe her neck up, maybe out, maybe her hands and her feet may be out. But that's what we do here. What you all do where you are may be somewhat different than what we do here, and that may be okay based on this principle. It doesn't have, my words now, it doesn't have to be a carbon copy of this country or that country where you take the culture from outside and then import it into your country and then wonder why it doesn't work for you and your people. You ain't them and you ain't there. We here. Meaning, us as American Muslims, we have our own culture that we are responsible for. And there are areas of Islam that we need culture to insert it in order to practice Islam properly. And if we don't even recognize that, then it's no wonder why we come into certain challenges sometimes. You see? On the social media side, we're being socially engineered and we don't realize that we can create culture ourselves for what works for us. We don't got to pay, we don't have to, I'm not going to say we don't have to pay attention. We don't have to follow the trends on social media and be impacted by that. We can impact the trends on social media ourselves. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to close. I got a cousin. His father's Muslim. He was born Muslim. However, he wasn't raised Muslim. May Allah got him back. All right? Right now, he locked up in a different state. All right? We from Jersey. He started coming down to Philadelphia just for a short period of time. He came back to me, and he like, yo, Aqil. But he didn't say Aqil, though, because he called me something else, right? I went down there, I seen all your brothers down there, and they talk like you. I went to the barber shop and I got my sunnah. He non-Muslim, right? Y'all still talk like that? Y'all still say sunnah? Y'all impacted the culture. Y'all impacted the culture, right? It was a time where cargo pants became popular, right? The 3/4. Y'all did that here in Philadelphia. Y'all did that, right? Then y'all started like cutting the bottoms with the dangly strings and all that, right? Then other people start doing that. They sell them jeans in the stores like that, don't they? Y'all did that, right? Y'all did that. So then Muslims have their own culture, and we can social engineer, and we can impact the culture of not just Muslims, but of America. And if we can impact the culture of America, you don't know the rest of the world is looking at us and following us? You can do stuff here and impact the rest of the world if you only realize your station, your power, your influence, and utilize the Sharia in context. Al-'ada muhakkama. Culture is a judge. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Aqil Ingram, for a very informative piece. Hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, we can take this and implement it the best way that we can as we move forward. So as of right now, inshallah ta'ala, it's time for Salatul Isha. And we're going to call the adhan and pray. And then after Salatul Isha, inshallah ta'ala, I will come on and I will talk about how social media is destroying our marriages and our families. And then after that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll have a panel discussion with all of the imams here. And if you guys have any questions or inquiries, inshallah, we'll address that at that time. Jazakumullahu khairan.